Right, hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the vlog. If you're new to the channel, a big warm welcome. My name's Tristan Mortlock, this is Captain's Vlog. You join me in the anchor chain locker here on board Espiritu Santo, and I'm going to show you guys all the different bits of equipment that we have here on board. First of all, I want to show you the inside of the hull of the vessel. The hull is full aluminium hull and superstructure, so this gives you a good idea of how these vessels are built from the bottom up, and all the different welds and strengthening pillars and transversal beams and longitudinal beams, all that sort of thing. Very forward, you can see we have some old fenders stowed there. They're for big storms and things like that. We also have some additional thick, bigger lines. These are some drains and scuppers scupper pipes for the decks. Here you can see this hose here, right, is connected to what's called the horse pipe. Now the horse pipe is where the anchor chain comes up from the sea, and so as it's coming up the chain, we've got water spraying it in case it's picked up any mud or any dirt, so it cleans the chain as it goes around the gypsy and then down the spurling pipe into its chain locker. So you can see there, I know it says there, look, you can see it says chain wash on there. So although these look like hydraulic pipes, they're actually just water pipes. And you can see lots of spare lines we have on board, all different types, double braided. We've got some Spectra lines here. And as you can see, like plenty of lines. This is the remote control here for the windlasses. And so you can see it's on a very, very long cable indeed. So where we are on the foredeck, we can move it around depending on the visibility, what we want to do and what we want to see. So from me down here, where my feet are, to the top here, is probably another 4 feet. So you probably got 10 feet of headspace in here, which is quite unusual for a 32-meter vessel. And so what I wanted to show you here, I mentioned before in a previous video, well, in the first video I did on board this vessel, that, let me just go there so you don't get the backlight, that the windlasses are actually hydraulic and they run off the engine PTOs, or there's also a main hydraulic pump and an emergency hydraulic pump. So you can see all the hydraulics here for the windlasses. And then this is the spurling pipe, not the horse pipe, this is spurling pipe. So this is where the anchor chain then comes down. You may notice that the anchor chain actually is going into a wooden box. So we don't want the chain, coming in and out and landing on the aluminium hull of the vessel. So you can see here, this is actually rubber on this bit of wood here. And we also have rubber at the bottom part of this chain bin here. The important thing with that, I've been speaking to the previous captain, is you don't want, if you're going to put something between the aluminium and the chain, you want to ensure it's completely air and watertight. Because if any water gets between, say, the wood and the aluminium, you then get the corrosion. So there has some issues before. They've had to remove all this and, get rid of all the corrosion. So after this season, we'll be doing the same thing. We'll be taking the entire anchor chain out on both port and starboard side, then inspecting the condition of the aluminium underneath the chain box here. Okay, so the chains that we have on board are, we got 2 of them. They are 6. Yeah, there's 6 shackles each. A shackle is a length of just over 27 meters. I think like 27.3, 27.4, or 90 foot. And fathoms, I think fathoms are divided by 6, so I might be wrong, so Google it. I think it's, what's that be, 90 divided by 6, so that would be 6 fathoms, I think, but don't count me on that. And every shackle, so every 27 meters, 90 feet, we have it marked. So we come into an anchorage, I will know our swing radius, I will know what condition the seabed is in, I want to know the depth of water, and depending on that information that I have, I will then decide how many shackles of chain I want to let out. So I'll let the crew know. And you may notice here, we have a line which is connected to a shackle, which is connected to the boat here. And so this is what we call the bitter end of the chain. So if we have any reason or any issues with the chain getting fouled on the seabed and we're unable to unfoul it, we can then just get rid of the whole chain itself, we can either untie the line or cut it, and then we can contract a recovery company to go and recover the chain for us. Touch wood, it's not happened to me before. I've had the anchor chain foul before, but we managed to wiggle it out in the past. Yeah, the links are 22 millimeters each. Ideally, what I try to do every year, you want to be checking every shackle, every 10 meters, the diameter of the links, because they can get stretched out. So you want to ensure they're not getting too stretched out and then eventually possibly failing. And then we have exactly the same here on the other side. So 6 shackles, so that's 160 something meters each side of anchor chain. The anchors themselves weigh 160 kilos, which in pounds, I think it's about double. So that'll be what, 320 pounds, 350 pounds per anchor. So it holds really nice. And when you are anchoring, these actual chains themselves are like 3 tons each. The whole chain's 3 tons each. So once you drop the anchor, you don't really want the anchor doing the anchoring. The chain itself, the weight of the chain should be the anchoring of the boat. If you're at a point where it's so windy that the chain's lifting up to the point of the anchor, chances of dragging on a vessel this size are quite high. So as long as you've got the available depth of water and swing radius, and there's no danger areas and swing radius, i.e., you know, shallow rocks, shallow patches, other vessels, the more chain you let out, the safer in general you will be. Then we want to go. I want to show you these things. These are well, I call them our cap and rail saddles, but they're actually for the fenders. So you can see this nice soft sheep's wool there. And so that goes over the varnished cap and rail, and then we click our fender lines here and then onto the cleat. In these boxes, we have things like, you know, hose clamps, spare hose connections, cam locks. So plenty of spares, plenty of storage in this forward locker. Some additional lines, and then we have a nice aluminium ladder as well with the boat hook. And then we've got the fan down here as well for air ventilation. And again, you see the hydraulic hoses and for the windlasses. So also quite interesting with the PTO, it's also connected to the crane, which I will show you on another video when we launch the tenders, and the bow thruster. So what I have noticed is when it's quite windy, when you're dropping anchor, you want to keep the nose into the wind. If they are using the windlass when recovering anchor and I use a bow thruster, I lose power. So that is one of the negatives about that kind of system. You can actually run the hydraulic pump and the PTOs at the same time, but that's just one of those things you've got to be cautious of. In general, when coming to marina is when I mostly need the bow thruster, and therefore really once you're kind of docked, you're not really using the windlasses to drop. You're docked, and then once you're docked, you're pulling up the ground lines on the capstans. Or the winches on the windlasses, better said. So yeah, that's a nice little view here, so you guys can see around. So interestingly, you're also quite careful because you're aluminium. You can be very careful with like the types of screws you're using. You don't be using things like steel or stainless because it becomes like a soft metal comparison to a hard metal. So you get that anode effect, which we want to kind of avoid. The benefit of having, say, aluminium over steel is aluminium, of course, is a lot lighter than steel, although it is actually more expensive than steel, I think, in general. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think aluminium is more expensive than steel. Steel effectively is stronger. Not to say aluminium's weak. The other good thing about steel as well is you want the weight of the boat down low. So conventionally, a lot of like super yachts will have a steel hull and aluminium superstructure. So that's with this boat, you know, we do have the big fuel tanks, big water tanks, so lots of weight down low. You know, so there's pros and cons really to having both. But it's really interesting for me, first time running a aluminium vessel, so learning a lot about aluminium, how to take care of it. If you have any tips and tricks of taking care of aluminium, do let me know in the comments box below. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any questions. And that's that, guys. Yeah, next video, not sure what I'll show yet. Maybe the engine room, maybe the boat deck. But I think one little section at a time keep it short and sweet. Thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. See you and ciao.